This is the Reinvention Stories After 40 podcast,
where women find the courage to rise, rebuild, and reinvent life on their terms.
Real women, real struggles, real transformations. Hosted by Lorna Blake, who has lived the struggle, risen from the ashes, and now holds space for women's powerful stories of courage and reinvention.
And now, here's Lorna.
Welcome to the show. Have you ever had that quiet feeling that your life just doesn't quite fit anymore? Not that it's terrible, not that you failed, but there's just that something that doesn't quite feel like it anymore. My very special guest today was 57, living in the city she'd always known. And yet every time she saw a plane overhead, she was imagining herself flying to Europe. France had been calling her name since she was 25 years old. But the fear was real. And the thought was, if she couldn't make it in her own hometown, how could she possibly expect to start over in another country where she couldn't even speak the language? And then she heard something that changed everything. That maybe our purpose isn't to help everybody else, but to live the happiest life we can live for ourselves. And so she made the move. Not because it was easy, not because it was guaranteed, but because her soul wouldn't let her rest. This is a story about listening to that call and trusting it. I'm super excited to share my very special guest, Janeen, with you. Janeen Sonsi is a leadership and communications trainer with over 30 years of experience. She's also a reinvention alchemist, helping leaders influence with impact and women reinvent themselves and their lives. And so without further ado, please help me welcome to the show, Janeen. Janeen, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule in France to join us and to share your story.
Well, thank you for having me, Lorna. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
It's such a pleasure.
I feel very honored to be here.
It's such a delight to have you. Sorry for the points where I seem to talk over Janeen. I forgot to add in the intro that Janeen and I have known each other for nearly 15 years. This is an authentic conversation between two friends. And so, Janeen, I would love for you to take us back to your life in Melbourne. What was happening internally for you before you made the decision to move to France? Take us back to what life looked like then.
Okay, so I was doing corporate training and enjoying that. So I was freelancing but I wasn't getting enough work. I wasn't getting enough to maintain the lifestyle that I'd come to accept. And there was just this, it was all, I can't even really describe what it was. It was just a yearning. I had had a yearning to go and live in France since my 20s when I first visited. And I did meet up with, I did talk to a friend who I'd worked with back then. And she said, oh yeah, you were talking about moving to France, back in your late 20s. So it was something that had always been there. But I sort of kept it like a dream. I felt like, oh, it's something I really want to do, but could I really do it? Is it just a fantasy? Or is it something I really want? And so I was struggling along, and life was a struggle, and I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't earning enough money, and the bills were getting, it was stressful. Now add to this, both my parents were elderly and very unwell. They were in a nursing facility at this stage,
Mm,
an aged care facility. And, part of me wanted to go, and part of me wanted to be there with them till the end because I knew it was getting close.
mm,
And I was waiting for them to die in the nicest way possible.
mm,
When something's going to happen. And so I kept putting
mm.
off my dream, my calling, my fantasy, whatever it was at that stage. And we do that. We delay our dreams. We come up with excuses. We come up with reasons as to why we can't do it right now.
True.
And it was when I had this block to earning the money I wanted, and I went to see a channeler, and he was the one that gave me that advice. So I said to him, well, what's blocking me from, manifesting what I want to manifest?
Mm.
And he said to me, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to help women live a more fulfilling life. And he said, well, how well are you doing that yourself?
Oh.
I know. It's like, pretty crappily.
Ooh.
And that was when he gave me that advice. And he said, our purpose in life is not to serve others, not to help others. Our purpose is to live the happiest life we can for ourselves.
Wow, what a mic drop moment, Janine.
Absolutely. I went, what? I've just spent 20 years in personal development learning that it's all about serving others.
True, true. And
And
so my question for you is, what did that statement stir up inside of you? Because that blows everything away. I also feel
that
like that's what we've been taught to do.
exactly, exactly. And it was the catalyst because I thought, well, if that's my purpose in life is to live the happiest life I can for myself, then I may as well just sell up and move to France because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that was in May 2017, I think.
Mm.
And I immediately went into action when I came out of that. I just went, right, I'm going. I had a boyfriend at the time, and I told him I'm going to France to live. And I put a plan together, and I prepared my house for sale, and it was going on the market on the 1st of September. I knew I needed a knee replacement, so I went to my orthopedic surgeon. I said, right, I need a knee replacement, and I need it at the end of August.
Wow.
And he said, oh, we orthopods don't just give you a knee replacement because you're going to France. And then he played with my knee. Now, this guy had already operated on my knee 4 times before.
Wow.
So I told him I needed a loyalty discount with him. He laughed.
Did it work?
And he played and he went, okay, then I'll do it. And I can do it on the 30th of August. I went, perfect. Because then I had time to get my house ready. I had time to start to get rid of things, be
Yeah.
clear out. And yeah, so that was on the 30th. Got my house ready for the market on the 29th. It went on the market on the 1st and sold at auction 4 weeks later. For
What? That's
what?
incredible. So,
Yeah,
how long did it take you before your plan became your reality? So, you started in May of
that was May.
2017.
And my house went on the market in September.
Wow. And
So May,
so,
what's that? June, July, August, 3 months.
June, July, August, September. And then that's when you moved?
Well, I had to, so yeah, so the house went on the market on the beginning of September. It went, so the auction at the end of September, and that I had in Australia, we have terms like we sign a contract and we say, okay, completion will be on this date.
Yeah.
And I wanted like a 4 month term so I could, I had time. But
Yeah.
no, um, the new owner wanted a 60-day term. So that's October.
Wow.
That meant I had to be out of my place at the end of November,
What?
which meant I had 2 months to sort and pack and clear out a 3 bedroom, 2-story home just 1 month after having a knee
Oh
replacement.
my God.
It was an ideal rehab.
What? How did it work? So between May and the end of November, you were on your way to France six months later?
Well, no, no, my plan was, so I wasn't exactly onto France. So I sold, and then my plan was to go and live with my boyfriend, and I was leaving in February to
Oh,
come to France um, to go to French school for 3 months. So that was like my trial period. You
wow.
know, the 3 months you get without a visa. And once I made that decision in May, a friend from Chicago, a Facebook friend from Chicago who I'd never met, was posting all these photos of her in Nice. And I said, "Hey, Corinne, what's going on?" She said, "I've moved here. I've made the sea change." And I said, "I'm coming to live in
Oh my
France."
God.
And I said, "I'm coming there to go to French school." And she said, "Why not come to Nice?" And I could
What?
not think of any reason why not. So I came to Nice for the first 3 months in 2018. And then I went back to Australia, and it took me about 6 months fuffing around to get everything I needed to submit my visa application. It was a lot of work. I mean, my portfolio was about this thick of paper. I
Wow.
had to do so much. I had to put together a whole business plan with a 3-year projection of income and verification that I had clients who would actually work with me when I was never allowed to have worked in France before.
Wow. So let's just dial it back a
Why that? Why
tiny
that?
bit. But what I'm super excited about as you were just talking though, Janine, is when you made the decision in May of 2018, the universe conspired to allow for that to happen within less than a year, or within about a year or 9 months. So
Yeah,
kind of. Right?
yeah.
So
So,
you could say within less than a year, you were in
oh,
France.
well, I was in May. I made the decision. In February, I
Yeah,
came
so
to
about
France
nine
for the first
months.
3 months. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then I went back, and I came back at the end of December 2018 to
yeah,
live. Packed up everything, brought a 28-foot container of all of my belongings,
it's incredible.
and I
So
was here.
the I mean the just the idea that you made that decision. Here it was this far off dream. And then you got this word, or this word of wisdom that says, yeah, your purpose is really to live your best and happiest life. And so you said, you know what? Here I am just waiting for my parents to go. Why don't I just go on and live my best and happiest life, which is the best I can do for everybody. And
Yeah.
that's May 2018.
I I decided I couldn't put my life on
On
hold any
hold.
longer. Yeah.
Totally, totally
I mean,
understood.
and I had a 15-year-old cat as well. And the sad thing is that in my first year of living here, my cat died 2 weeks after I
Oh.
left Melbourne. My mother died in April. My father died in October.
Oh God. The
So
same
I had
year that you
the
left?
same, my first year here.
Ay, ay, ay.
So I lost the three. Oh, and then my boyfriend who did come over to France with me, he was going to study, but that didn't happen. So he went back in March the following year.
Oh Lord.
So within 15 months, I'd lost basically the four loves of my life.
Lord.
And he left 2 weeks before lockdown started.
Oh my God. So
So
you were in the midst of lockdown alone. It's a lot of losses to navigate there, but
it was.
let's dial it back a tiny bit
Done it
here
back
because
again.
your
Oh, I
story
have
is
so
so
many stories,
extraordinary,
Lorna.
and oh my God, there's so much to unpack. So I want you to take us back to what what was the biggest fear or challenge that you had to overcome to step into this new chapter?
Well, as you mentioned in the intro, my biggest fear was if I can't make a successful business in training and coaching in Australia, where I had a network, where I spoke the language, then how could I do it in France, where I knew nobody and I didn't even speak the language?
Mm,
Now, that's actually a really rational fear. I wasn't making stuff up. It's a rational fear, but and the most important thing is that sometimes even rational fears are just not what we just shouldn't hold on to them. They might be rational, but it doesn't mean it should stop us from doing what we're really called to do.
oh, I love that. Absolutely agree. No matter how rational the fear is, it's simply a fear, and we shouldn't allow it to stop us from doing what it is
Yeah.
that we're here to do. And our souls know, and your soul knew.
My soul knew, and my soul was, it was like it just kept tugging at me,
Yeah.
tugging. And I, yeah, I just got to the stage, and I was 57. I couldn't leave it much longer. I will always regret that I was not able to be there with my parents at the end.
Mm, understood.
But it's not it's a, oh, that's a shame. It's not a, oh my God, I regret doing it. I regret coming when I did. It's not that sort of a regret. It's just a, I wish I could have been there with them, but I couldn't. I also, this is really weird. I also wish they'd died the year before while I was still home.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
That's a crazy one, but
that's the kind of thing though that hmm, we we don't have control over, right?
no, no.
And what we have control over is to take charge of our lives and to live our best lives, to live our happiest. And
We can
you
only be
followed that
responsible.
call to a
Mm.
T.
We can only be responsible for our lives
Yeah, yeah. And
and
that's
how
what you
we live
did.
it. Mm.
That's what you
And I
did.
took that responsibility. And that's why I don't regret coming over here when I did.
Yeah.
There's-
There,
I've got two
there,
cats. Yeah.
there.
And they always like to be with me.
Aw, what a
So
beautiful cat. What type of a
this
cat is
is
this
this
one?
is Xenia. They're
Zena?
both, the two I've got, they're sisters and
Oh,
they're tortoiseshell Persians. And
aw,
I did get them in the February, like before my boyfriend left.
oh,
So I was determined that I wanted two cats in the house with me when he left, so that at least I wasn't alone. And thank
oh,
goodness I did,
yes.
especially with lockdowns.
So they became your comfort during that time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And,
glad
and
that you
they
had the
stopped
vision to
me.
get them.
Yeah, and they stopped me from being alone. So that
Yeah.
we don't really need her tail wagging in the background there.
Yeah, they stopped you from being alone, and they gave you purpose. They gave you somebody to look after.
Yeah, and they gave me comfort.
Yes.
So it did
Yes.
help me. And I was lucky that my boyfriend was here with me when my parents passed.
Yeah.
So that at least I had someone here with me.
Yeah.
So I did have two trips back to Australia, so for each of their memorials.
Hmm.
My grief was not, it was not I don't know how to describe the grief because mum had advanced dementia, like really advanced by that stage. All
Hmm.
they'd do is, they'd wake her up in the morning, they'd dress her, they'd put her in the princess chair,
Hmm.
wheel her out, feed her, and wheel her back, undress her, and put her in bed. And that was her life. Dad was
Mm-mm.
in the same place as her, and they were always together. And right to the very end, even when mum didn't seem to know much of what was going on,
Mm.
she always knew whether dad was sitting next to her holding her hand.
Mm.
They were together for 70 years.
Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
so unreal.
I
Theirs must
know.
be one of the longest marriages ever.
There are some that are longer, but it is one of the long ones. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And it's a different generation to us now.
true.
So,
Are
I
you
mean,
an
mum,
only child? Sorry. You're an only
no,
child?
I, no, I had a, I had, still have them. I have an older sister, older brother, and then a younger brother. So
Oh,
there were other siblings to support my parents once I left.
great, great. And so that, it doesn't take away any of the sadness or
Mm.
grief, but you also knew that you had others who were able to be there
Yeah.
for them.
And I knew that it was a relief for mum in particular when she went. And
Mm,
we always knew that once one went, the other would die, would go straight, very quickly afterwards,
mm,
because after 70 years they couldn't be apart. And
yeah.
but mum said to me, in her dementia, she said many times, I don't want to live like this. I just want to die.
Oh, wow.
And it's really hard, but you could see, we could all see that she actually knew what she was talking about when she said
Mm-mm.
that. So that's why I was waiting for them to die in the nicest way. It's like I knew it was imminent.
Got it. Got it. No.
And
Mm,
so I think, I don't know if just said this, but so there was relief. Like when they passed, there was grief, but there was also relief. And I
mm,
think that often happens when we've been with someone who's been ill for a long time.
totally understood. No. What I want to check with you on is, did anybody try to talk you out of your idea of moving to France?
There was one woman at Professional Speakers that I was a member there, and she said to me, "Are you sure, Janine? Are you sure this is what you want?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." And I think because I was just so definite, and because I'd talked about it, I'd mentioned it for years before.
Yeah.
I think everyone, and because I am quite stubborn, once I make a decision,
Mm,
I think people just knew, okay, Janine's off doing her thing again, you know.
let her be.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
people would say, "Oh, you're so courageous." But it wasn't courage that I felt. It was more of a determination because I have to do this.
Mm,
And that takes
wow.
over the courage.
That's a great point. I hadn't even thought of it like that, but I can relate to that.
Mm.
I've heard so
Well,
many times, as you said, people will say, you're so courageous. But I
mm,
think as you say that, it's like there is a call on on your soul, on my soul. I would feel that, a pull, right?
yeah,
That was so much bigger than me. And it allowed for whatever it was to unfold. And as you said, I had focus and determination. And so that took over and
yeah.
allowed for the turn of events, whatever that was, in my spirit. So
And
that's
I
really
think,
cool. I love what you said.
yeah. And I think it's really important to know that when you're not happy with your current life and you're feeling like it's just not right, it's not, I'm not fulfilled. That's the thing. There's
Hmm.
this lack of fulfillment.
Hmm.
And you might be looking at reinventing yourself and your life in some way. It's really important to trust that pull of the soul, that there is a reason why you've always had that dream and why it's never gone away. It's because it's your soul telling you that's what you're meant to do.
I
And
love that.
trusting that gives you, call it courage, but it gives you the determination. And I'm going to add in resilience to do what you feel called to do because it doesn't all go perfectly to plan, and my moving to France, I've just told you, it wasn't all champagne and chocolates.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into that a little bit more. So, hmm, what does life in France look like for you now, and how is it different from the life that you had in Melbourne?
Well, my view out the window.
Hmm, that is extraordinary.
Yes, and it's not even a sunny day. It's normally a sunny day.
Wow,
Um,
stunning.
I don't know. And from the front of my apartment, I can see over to the Mediterranean Sea,
My
which
God.
is fabulous. So I'm up on a hill. I actually have just reinvented myself again
Hmm.
and gone back to the leadership training, leadership and communication training.
Um,
So I'm focusing, so I'm now positioning myself as that of which the coaching women is a part of it rather than
got
the
it.
whole. So I'm not giving up on the coaching women to, through life transitions,
Yeah,
but I'm bringing it all together. It's like I'm bringing my whole self to the picture.
got it. That's so
Whereas
extraordinary.
if I just focus on one or the other, it's,
Yeah,
that's the real person. The women coaching is the real personal development, spiritual
true.
stuff for me. The leadership and communication coaching is much more yes, I can do this, I can help people with the communication, but it's much more of it's more of the head stuff. And I think this is
Sure.
more of the art
The
stuff.
heart.
But I need both. I
Good
need to bring it all
point.
together.
And you've done it for so long, Janine,
Yeah,
that it's
I
great that
know.
you're bringing it back. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Way to go.
It's good. So, um, community's been really important for me.
Hmm.
When I arrived, I had this magnificent vision of creating a paid membership community for expat women in France. And
Hmm.
I first created the group on Facebook,
Huh.
and that group is now we're just getting up to 21,000 women. And,
Wow. Congrats on
and
that. That is
yeah,
amazing.
but I never monetized it like this. I tried, and I built this wonderful platform, but
Hmm.
it didn't work, and I spent a lot of money and time and everything, and so there's been challenges along the way. But I do keep going, and this is where the resilience comes in. And
True.
if something's not working, I do look at the signs and go, okay, this is not going where I want it to be. And it's not that I give up easily. I
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah.
It's not like I just jump from one thing to the other. No, these have been really serious decisions. And I recognize that it's about being the whole of me and bringing
Hmm.
that to the table.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. So, how would you say life is different for you now compared to being in Melbourne?
That was your question, wasn't it? Yes.
It's all good.
Um, I don't know. It's much more social here. When I talk about community, there's so many different expat communities here.
Hmm.
And I live in well, I guess it's a largish town by French terms. There's about 20,000 people live in Vence, and Vence is just a 20-minute drive inland from Nice Airport. So it's a really good position. And I can get to Nice in half an hour. I can get to Antibes or Cannes or Monaco or Italy. I can drive to all of those places. So
That's so cool.
I
Sorry, what's the name of the city that you live in?
Vence, Vence,
Oh, it's Vance.
Vence,
Hmm.
or Vents, if you want to say it in a
Vance,
non-French way.
Vance. So you're at
And
you're in the French Riviera?
yeah, it's on the French Riviera. I'm just inland, and the town has it has the medieval center, which is a walking town, and I still, even after 7 years, I still walk around and go, wow,
You
this is my
live
hometown.
there. Oh my
I
God,
live
Janine, you've got
here.
to invite us.
Okay, you're
You have
welcome
to
anytime.
have a retreat, yes, and invite us or some.
Yes, I do want to have a retreat, and I've actually found a fabulous venue not far from here, further in the hills, and it's away from everyone, and it's perfect. So,
I
yeah,
think
I've
we
got a
should
venue for a
definitely.
retreat. Let's do
We
that.
should talk about that,
We'll
yes.
talk. Um, and so I have lots of groups. Like there's there's groups that organize events.
Mm,
And the events might be just getting together at a bar or something and having drinks and chatting to people and making new friends.
hmm.
Or there might be events that include a presentation. And I'm doing an event for my group, Expat Women in France, on for International Women's Day. And I'm going to do a little presentation. I'm not sure exactly how to work, but at the restaurant.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think I've got about 30 women coming to that. So there's just always something to do and somewhere to go, and I love the fact that it's 5 hours to Spain, it's an hour to Italy, it's 5 hours to Switzerland.
Wow.
That's pretty cool for an Australian who lived, like Australia's not near anything.
I know that is the coolest part. And, when you talk about navigating tough times and losses, you've done that. You've done that so extraordinarily well. How is your French?
Not so good.
But that's such a big deal though, because that was something that was a logical, rational fear is
I
I
know.
don't know the language, so how am I going to manage? And here you are, you have a great social life, you're building your business, you're doing so many things and you've had
Yeah.
success building
Yeah.
different groups and programs, and yet the language is not a barrier to doing. I just
Well,
hats off to you.
that's That's partly because I am on the French Riviera and
Mm,
there's so many English speakers here.
excellent.
As someone said to me, Janine, you have very good bar, restaurant, and shopping French.
Mm,
And I do. So
way to
I
go.
can get by. I can order whatever I want. I can read. My reading of French is getting better. It's
Excellent.
just the conversation that I need to work on, and that's practice.
Excellent. Well, our time is quickly wrapping up. I can't believe that our time has run out so quickly. Um, very, very briefly, what advice would you give to another woman over 40 who is thinking it's way too late?
It's never too late, and I mean that emphatically. It's never too late to follow your dream, to follow your soul calling. If it's there, there's a reason, and you got to do it. And just go for it. If you're determined and resilient, you'll make it work, and you'll work out what you need to do. Take action. Go for it.
Thank you so much. That's so amazing. That's such great advice. And how can people stay connected with you?
Okay, well, my name's there on the screen, Janine Sonsi. I'm very lucky that my name is unique. I'm
Mm,
the only Janine Sonsi in all of, spelt like that, in all of Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm there, but I'm not as active.
mm.
And I'm very happy for anyone to connect with me. My email address is Janine, spelt as it is on the screen, at getrealcommunication.com.
Janine at getrealcommunication.com.
Yeah,
And
no S on there.
we will put all of your links in the description. so that people will be able
Fantastic.
to find you. Janeen, thanks so much for taking time today to share your amazing story so openly and honestly. It's been a blast, and I really look forward to having you come back because I felt like we were just getting in, as the time has flown. Now, Janine, your journey reminds us that reinvention isn't about escaping, it's about alignment.
Mm,
And I feel such resonance with that. It's about
mm.
listening to that quiet whisper that says, there's more for you, and having the courage and the determination to follow it, even when it doesn't make logical sense to anybody else.
Or
So
even yourself.
you feel that?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
mm.
listeners and viewers, if you're watching and you feel that whisper, I just want you to know you're not crazy. You're not too late, as Janine says, you're never too late, and you're not alone. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is to trust that call and to answer it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for
Thanks,
now.
Lorna. Bye.
Bye.